look at the key elements of well-being and try and put those into buckets that we can measure and manage and improve on over time. The first one we found is that, it's kind of your identity or your career well-being and what you do that makes a difference for people. And I think a lot of that comes down to how do you make a positive contribution to society? And do you have a chance every day to see how something that you're working on through your professional work, whether you're raising a child or teaching a child or managing people in a conventional workplace, how can you see that that's having a positive impact on society? So that's the essence of the career well-being, what you do. The second big factor that we found in the original well-being research was social well-being. And boy, I think now, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of people realize that we need those interactions with other human beings to get by and especially to thrive and really have fun on a given day. And so, are you investing time in having a conversation with a friend or colleague? Are you really asking a good question and listening to that person and investing in their well-being? And do you dedicate enough time to being around friends and family and loved ones? Because, if I were to get a group of 10 leading psychologists in a room, the only thing they really all agree on is that social well-being is the best predictor of whether we're having good days. And so, much like we underestimate sleep, I think we underestimate every hour that we invest in just genuine good time with a friend or a loved one or another person that we enjoy being around. So that's the second piece. The third one that also gets underestimated a bit in the modern workplace is financial well-being. And it doesn't have to be, it's not about being rich or making more money or doubling your income. It's really, are you worrying about not having money to pay for rent? Are you worried about not being able to put food on the table? And if you have those overriding concerns, that's a real problem. And then once you have enough money to essentially get by, the key to well-being is really not how much more money you make, it's how you spend your money. It's spending your money so that you have fun experiences with friends and family and loved ones. And whether that's a quick trip or going out to dinner, it's managing your money wisely so that it maximizes well-being essentially. And then the fourth factor to well-being is the one that does get talked about more, which is the physical well-being and eating better, moving around more throughout the day, which we've talked about, and sleeping well. And we haven't spent a lot of time on the eating part of that, but I don't think eating well has to be as complicated as people make it in modern society, where, there are always people out there with new fad diets and new kind of physical health programs. But when you get down to it, nobody's out there saying you need to eat fewer green leafy vegetables. No one's out there telling you to go eat more fried foods. And nobody's telling you to add sugar to your diet and maximize the sugar in your diet tomorrow. So there are some simple things that we can do from a dietary standpoint and common elements that really improve our chances of being able to be more active and getting more sleep through the dietary choices that we make. So that's the kind of physical component. And then the fifth and last component, which was really interesting to me back in the research that we did at Gallup, was that the element of well-being that essentially differentiates a average life from a really great one is whether you're involved in giving back in your community. And the question we ask people who are really having a great life that differentiate is something along the lines of, have you been recognized for your efforts in the community in the last 12 months? And so if you've been so involved in your community that people are recognizing what you've donated from a money and a time and energy standpoint, that's when your life's in a really good place. And it was also interesting from a general well-being standpoint that when we asked people, how much do you value community well-being versus financial well-being versus physical well-being and so forth, it was the people who valued giving back to their community the most that happened to have the highest levels of overall well-being. So if you're doing well in those initial kind of foundational areas, finding ways where you can see how you're giving back through a community organization, through a nonprofit, through donations of time and money, that may be the area where you can really take your well-being over the top. I'd focus there instead of trying to double your income once you get the basics down.